Hello and welcome to Eating Global, and I'm saying welcome to Eating Global for the first time. I want to welcome you all to this channel and thank you for watching at least the first minute of this video until you're like, and then you go somewhere else. But if you stick with us through like the whole video, maybe you could watch another video and see if you like it. I don't know. But anyway, I want to introduce you to what the channel is and who the characters are you will be seeing in it and what you can expect out of the channel. So anyway, to start with, I want to introduce myself. I am David. I will be what you're unfortunately going to have to deal with the most on this channel. But then there's some other characters that are going to show up in the channel as well. This is Katie. This is Michael. Now, Michael is my cousin. Mm-hmm. He is married to a very good friend of mine that I grew up with, Ram, and you might see her every once in a while. Katie is married to another very good friend. He's a brother from another mother. We were born just a couple months from each other, and we were in the same nursery at church together and have spent our entire lives together since then. He is a big boy, and he has a big boy job, and so you don't see him very much in this channel, but we'll try to put him around much. But Katie, I get to drag around the world, and she gets the abuse instead of Logan because he's off doing big boy things. Michael, we just also drag him around. He is a big boy in his own right, but he shows up.
I showed up places.
Yeah. So and also I do want to mention that I drag these people through literal mud. I drag them to the ends of the earth and back, and I drag them to the most stupid scenarios, and they still show back up. For some reason.
Gluttons for punishment.
That's
Gluttons
right.
for punishment. Yeah.
Sure
It's almost like they feed off of the stupidity that I drag them through. And hopefully you'll see some of that through the stories that we share on this channel. Now, a lot of the stories we've been traveling for years together. The focus of our travel has not been making vlogs or sharing those experiences, but I have recorded things and I've kind of documented for our own documentation. Katie has not been happy about my not posting. She's like, you have got to post more. And
I need the memories made.
So we have done a lot of things. We have experienced a lot of things, and I just keep them. We've talked about like maybe we'll watch them in the nursing home one day.
He doesn't even share them with me.
But this, we're finally going to start doing that. And so, anyway, some other characters you're going to see in the channel are Dan and Jeremy. They also will travel around the world with us, and just, I don't know, those two also will just go to the extreme measures to go to entertainment. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed to have these people in my life and even interested in being part of this. So that is who we are. So the next thing we want to cover is what the heck are we going to be doing on this channel? Well, so when we travel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we travel mostly for food.
That's true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
There's a lot of places in this world we've seen specifically because it's like there's prolific food there, and there's a lot of places in this world we haven't seen because there's no food there. So I mean, it's like, yeah, we're going places for food. So I mean, I think we have eaten probably some of the most delicious.
Fantastic.
I mean, we've done some amazing things, and it's like the one thing I love to cook, and so I love the expedition of trying these international foods and then coming home and making those. And so, and then I share that, and people are like, oh, well, I've never heard of that dish. How do you make it? And whatnot. And so, not only that, but I like to know what the cultural significance is between that. And I totally believe that if you learn about a culture, you learn about their food. If you learn about their food, you learn about their culture. There is a big connection between the two of those. So if you're interested in being interesting, does that make sense? Like, yeah.
You're in the right place.
A good place to start is learning about the world and learning about the people in it. And I mean, because that is endlessly interesting. And you'll make yourself so more enriched if you just do that. So anyway, this channel is kind of unique. It's not a recipe channel. It's not necessarily just a cooking channel either. So if you're looking for a place to be like, what am I going to make this week at home, and how do I make it, and what's the recipe, or if you want to put together like a week-long recipe, this isn't the channel. But if you want to cozy in for the evening and kind of like, just learn some stuff about something you may not know you need to know more about, this might be the channel for you. So these are not, this is kind of a, you have to settle into these videos. because I want you to have a full-blown knowledge about that dish. And if you just cut it up, if it's just one of these like, slap food around the kitchen and just make a dish like a lot of the channels are, those channels are fine. If you just want real quick, I just need to watch something and I need no information about it, that channel is for you. This channel is sit down and focus on something. Now, at the same time, I don't want to pretend that I am the authority on anything that I say. Anything that I say is subject to being wrong. I am not a professional. We're not chefs. We're not anthropologists. We're not professors of culture or anything like that. We're just people who like to go out and eat. And we like to go home and eat after that, so that's the whole thing. Okay, so I think we might have covered why you might come here to watch this channel. So I don't know. We'll see how this evolves over time. We're in our infancy. I want you to go make your own education. Don't use me as the authority. It is not it's more of a pique your interest, right? So if you see something you like, if you're like, oh, I really want to learn about that culture, or I really learn about that dish, go learn that. I can't be your professor in this. I can only share things that I have learned that I'm like, I want to share that you need to learn as well. So that's all this is. But in the meantime, we're going to have a lot of fun and eat a lot of great food. So again, recipes. If you are looking for a specific recipe that has specific ingredient counts and whatnot, again, this isn't the channel. I want you to be able to cook on your own without a recipe. So you can create your own. You can walk into a market, you can see your own ingredients, and you can start seeing those ingredients as a dish rather than having to go to a recipe. I think the magic in flavor is tailor fitting it to your flavor profile, whatever you like. If you always are going by a recipe, it's always going to taste like somebody else's taste profile. So you're never going to really taste what you want to taste. Taste what you want to taste, not what someone else wants you to taste. You could also go with an approach where if you start learning enough about how flavor works and how to put together flavor, you can take a recipe and get a general idea about what goes in that dish. Like, for example, a lot of Korean dishes, like bulgogi, for example. I see a lot of people, they don't use sesame oil in bulgogi. Sesame oil, it's like if you don't put sesame oil in bulgogi, it pretty much just becomes teriyaki sauce. So it's like those type of little specifics. Yeah, we need to have the specific ingredients in there, but you can tailor it to your own suit. So if you don't like the flavor of sesame oil that much, you can cut down on that. Or if you just, that's where customization is where we're talking about. So anyway, with all that being said, let's talk about some fun things. So I just wanted to share, since this is a global, experience channel, I have mentioned that I travel with these people and we love just learning about the world. And some of that comes through really stupid experiences and fun experiences. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to share? You want to start? Do you have any stupid or great or just prolific experiences?
Before we get into that, though, I think you're touching on something that your channel is at least going to help me with, is going into international markets. Mm-hmm. They're always very intimidating to me. And through your experiences, your travel, and the recipes that David here is bringing to his channel, it's
not recipes, but ideas.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The ideas of the foods that he's making on his channel kind of give you the confidence to walk into one of those international markets, pick up things that he has found on his travels, and make your own dishes from them, rather than feeling overwhelmed with something you've never cooked before.
That actually gives me an idea. We should go into international markets and just go down the aisles and start explaining the sections and just be like, what's this little obscure sauce? Well, we can explain that. So, because every obscure sauce from I'm your sauce guy. And so we could do that. That's a great idea. Okay,
yeah.
You want to go? Yeah.
There's so many experiences to go around, it's hard to choose one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if to think of one, London was really cool. We went to a place called Dishoom. And in general, London is, just such a wonderful international city for food, especially. But some of the best, Dishoom had some of the best Indian food I've ever had in my entire life. It was tapas style. We just had some really fun conversations with even the people sitting next to us. Just a really, really great experience. There's just countless ones like that.
One of the coolest atmospheres too.
For sure.
Yeah. That's one of those moments you it sticks with you. Mm-hmm. It's like a fine wine. Those experiences mature over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were there, it was what was it? Was it our first day in...
I think it was.
It was our first day in London. And so, of course, the first day in Europe is always like, you're just...
awake for 2 days, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
delirious.
You kind of have to record everything that you do and kind of play it back in your brain later. Just like do everything and then enjoy it later.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of those experiences because we were totally delirious when we were there. But it's like afterwards, I recognized that was probably one of the finest restaurants, like one of the best experiences that you could have.
That first day was crazy. Yeah, we were riding our bikes, being in the U.S., we drive on the right side of the road, so learning how to ride some city bikes on the left side of the road, not getting hit by double-decker buses, and then we had several meals during that day. So I mean, yeah, just experiences like that, very commonplace in our travels.
There was also the little moment of accidentally maybe interrupting the...
we cut off His Majesty's parade of some kind on our bikes. Lots of bike antics on that trip.
Yeah, there were some bikes.
Many memories.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
Typical Americans.
Yeah, it's just Americans.
Parade.
We're trying to have some decorum here, and then the Americans show up. Yeah, that was quite a trip. What you got?
Oh my gosh. Well, the one that sticks out in my mind is Sapporo.
Oh, of course.
Oh my gosh. I never had been to Japan before, let alone even thinking about going to Sapporo. And next thing you know, David's like, hey, you want to go to like the northernmost point of Japan? And I was like, sure, why not? And when you think of going to a restaurant, you think of like big open space, lots of tables. Not in Japan. In Japan, there are little holes in the wall. You may have like 12 tables. I remember landing in Tokyo, and the first thing we did, we hadn't slept because none of us can sleep on the plane, and we're like, ramen.
Yep.
And I had never had real ramen before. And man, rolling into there, one, the experience of just ordering is completely different than in the States. Because you've got to order on a screen, you don't talk to anyone. The restaurants themselves are pretty quiet, except for the slurping, which is new.
The slurping. Yeah.
So then I probably had the best bowl of food my entire life. I don't know if it was because I was exhausted. I don't know if it really was the best bowl of ramen.
It probably was.
But I ate the whole bowl, and that night I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, you look at this person, it's a very small package. She ate a quarter of her body weight in ramen.
Because it was that good.
Now, I make up 3 of Katie, and I was full. And so I can't imagine she ate the same amount I did. So I have no idea how you did that. I felt medically concerned for you that evening.
I was medically concerned for me, but totally worth it. And it was the black garlic ramen?
I believe you had that. I had the shio ramen, which is the chicken salt taste broth.
Everything.
Yeah.
So good.
That's another thing. It's like that's the thing is ramen. There's so many things in our world that's like we have this weird idea of what it is in the United States, and when you go and find out what the original component to that is or the original dish is, it's like, oops, I've been lied to about what this is. Now, I'm really glad that ramen is coming around in the United States.
Yes.
The thing is, have we really...
Nothing can compare.
There's some things touching on authentic, but it's like I still have never had real ramen in the United States, except for at my house. I make real ramen, but there's restaurants that are like, yeah, they're kind of getting around to that, but there may be an obscure place in New York or...
We'll find it.
I mean, yeah, if it's out there in the United States, we will find it. But I still haven't... I've eaten a lot of ramen in the United States, and there's good ramen out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some people doing some amazing ramen. Even here in Dayton, there's some great ramen.
Yes.
But it's not quite exactly what the ramen is.
When you walk into a restaurant and you see fresh made ramen noodles,
they're in the back stretching it.
You are in for a treat.
Yeah. And we do have some of that in the United States, but it's, again, just going to these places and understanding what, and we also understand, listen, if you're not the traveling type or, we've been very fortunate and been able to go to some of these places, but if you're not that person, we can share what it really is, and you can still explore these things right from your own kitchen. There's no reason that you physically have to go to these places to know what the real deal is. So that's what I want this channel to be able to do for you is if you've eaten something in a country and you're like, I just can't get that in the United States. There's no place. We understand that. That is totally valid because the ingredients or whatnot that restaurants in the United States are using, well, they're not accurate. I don't know how to say that. It's just not right. And there are some things that we are limited on, like tomatoes, for example. There's videos I will talk about tomatoes. Volcanic grown tomatoes in Italy, totally different than tomatoes that we're going to get here. Our nuclear GMO tomatoes that we get in the United States. They're very different. But there's some ways we can work around that. And I share my best ways that I've worked around that. And kind of the best brands. Then there's some tomatoes that are fresh grown and picked off, ripened from the vine and whatnot. Now you can grow your own produce as well. Growing your own is always the best, but there's still genetic modification in that seed, which makes it taste totally different. And I don't know. So anyway, it's very difficult, but we can break through some of that mud for you and kind of get you some of the real hard hitting tastes of the international flavors. Now, everything we make is not going to be all international. There are some things that we make that are just kind of exotic or rare in the United States that we will bring to you, or some prolific dishes, maybe even some stuff from movies and whatnot that we'll bring into the kitchen. That's always fun, so you'll see some of that as well. But anyway, that is kind of what that is. I do want to kind of, do you have any other, what about some stupid moments? I always like some stupid, just like, where have we gone that has just, or what have we done that's...
The Korean pancakes in New York.
What's that?
I'll never forget the first time I ever traveled with David. We went to New York City.
If you stick with me after the first time traveling with me, that's...
It was a mistake. We went to New York. I was so excited to see the sights. And I didn't realize that we were there for the food. And we spent all day looking for a Korean pancake place that didn't exist.
I don't even remember that.
You and Dan.
I go to New York a little bit too often. But
this was also like 13 years ago now.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of New Yorks ago.
It was a lot of New Yorks ago. But that was my... Do I really want to travel with this guy?
And what made you think you were going to continue after that?
Well, look at you. I mean, you're hilarious.
Oh, sure, whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, that's...
It was one of many fun, fond memories that I have now that I can look back on and laugh at. But at the time, it was like, why do I do this to myself?
What do you got?
Well, it's kind of a non-food related one, but it's when we were on the top of that castle in Salzburg, the guy. So Salzburg is beautiful. It's in the middle of the Austrian Alps. Great food there too. The Fleischsalat and many cheeses and such. But we were at the top of the castle, I guess, or fortress in the middle of this, taking a tour of it, and we're looking at this pastoral landscape, and the hills are alive, in the background.
Yep.
Perfect.
You just hear it the whole time.
That's what
you hear the Sound of Music soundtrack the entire time in Salzburg.
All kinds of different languages, different European languages, and out of nowhere we just hear, "Hey Randy, we're ready to roll." So it's like just breaks the immersion. I'm like, I'm right back in the middle of.
That was the best thing. There was
we kind of looked at each other. Like, wait a minute.
My parents were with us on that trip, and my mom wanted. She's a huge Sound of Music fan, so we're like, we're gonna take her on a bucket list trip and take her to Austria, and we did this unbelievable road trip through Germany and Austria.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking just like stunning visuals and stunning food and stunning culture. And oh my gosh, it was just a life changer of a trip. And you're just kind of immersed in this whole it almost feels emotional. I mean, there's a real connection, and it's crazy, and this beautiful, just beautifulness. And then you're right. I love that moment.
Just so it takes right out of it.
It was like we all just did we all looked at the same time. We're just
laughing inside. Like, this is fantastic. Juxtaposition.
Yeah.
That and many other things like it.
Probably
hilarious moments.
I mean, I think one of the dumbest moments. Again, it was with my parents. So my stepdad Nick is Korean, and you'll see him, and he is just. I'm very, very again. To say that I'm fortunate and have been put into some great scenarios in my life is an understatement. And his Koreanness, has helped a lot of this because his cultural, component in my life is extreme. But I don't speak Korean. Not at all. I am a little Korean inside. The way I like to eat and just culturally, I just love it all. And I fortunately have some great Korean family. There are some in town, a lot in Seattle. But anyway, just some great food there. But anyway, we went back to Korea for him a couple times, and we drug him along. And so you know where I'm going with
I know where you're going with this.
Sakcho.
Oh my gosh, Sakcho.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So it's a long story, and I don't want to bother you with the whole story, but anyway. So we drug Katie along on this one, and were you there on that one?
I think I was there the first time.
Okay, you were there.
Trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not on this one. Dan was there.
It was Dan. So it was Dan, Katie, and my parents. And so we went to this. We kind of toured around Korea.
Fishing village.
There's a fishing village on the far eastern coast, right up near, not quite the 38th, but like it's real close to the border there. And there's a sense of like, it's different. The vibe it's called Sakcho. The vibe is different. Now, the train ride out there, high-speed rail, it was unbelievable. I mean, beautiful, beautiful country. And, to ride across the country there and just see it was unreal. Mm-hmm. And I could go on and on about the weirdness about the Sakcho trip, the mini trip in a trip. But we had we were at this really beautiful resort that only we were staying at. It was like this huge Las Vegas style, like if you can imagine going to the Wynn in Las Vegas, but being perched on a 300-foot sea cliff on its own peninsula, like just this regal giant resort, but there's no one there except for the four of you.
Yeah.
But there's hundreds and hundreds of employees staring at you, just waiting to serve you.
Right.
Wow, that was bizarre. And so I mean, it was cool, but it was just so weird. So weird. Well, anyway, so for dinner.
We wanted to get out of the resort and experience something authentic.
Yeah, of course we did.
Yeah.
Now, the town itself of Sakcho is not Las Vegas. It is a fishing village, and it's a little bit rough, like a fishing village, which is okay, but... So we ordered this taxi, and first of all, the taxi... Now, keep in mind, there was 5 of us, right? It was a tiny ladder of a taxi. Like, it was literally, like, one of the British ladder cars. And it was probably, you could probably fit 3 in there, maybe comfortably. And like, we fit all 5 of us because we had kind of ordered from the, a bellman there at the resort. And we were like, can you get us a big taxi, like a van or something like that? Which they have plenty of in Seoul. Well, not in Sakcho. No. Okay. So anyway, the guy comes and we're like, where's the van? I'm like, is there, he goes, oh, no. So of course, my stepdad and him were kind of like, going back and forth.
And we're all assuming that Nick knew exactly what this guy was saying.
Problem is, there's a very big difference between dialect between where he grew up and this region in Korea, and the dialect can be very difficult for each other to understand. So I don't know in the United States if there's anything that different, but it's like if there was somebody that was just Creole, like speaking Creole and like traditional Creole, it could be hard for us to completely understand what they're saying. So anyway, I think that was kind of it. But anyway, with that being said, we go to this restaurant after, I think, who was sitting on each other's lap?
I was sitting on your mom's lap.
Yeah, they were sitting in the front. She was on my mom's lap in the front.
Snuggling.
It's just, and the dudes were in the back just like kind of overlapping each other. And so we go all the way down to this.
Nick was crushed.
Yeah. The taxi driver said, well, what do you want for dinner? And we're like, well, seafood, because, obviously it's a fishing village. And we're like, we want seafood. And he goes, oh, perfect. I know the right place in Korea. So we go down to this, like, really dark area, and we kind of turn out of town.
It's a tent.
We drive down this pier. So it's a fishing pier. It's where all the boats are lined up. Now, you would think, okay, there's no better place to eat seafood than where all the fishing boats are, like, literally offloading their catch of the day right there. But... we go to this, literally, like, if you can imagine, like, a graduation tent. Yeah. like you would rent. We walk in,
there's, like, a big tank of live fish.
Freshwater fish, by the way.
Yes. We walk past that, which you would think you would walk into, like, a kitchen or a prep area. No. You walk through that, and there is another tent where there is plastic seating.
Not nice plastic seating.
No,
It's like it's sat out for, like, several seasons. You know how it sort of gets that, like, filmy, like
it had been sitting by the ocean for years.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, is that where we're sitting?
So we sit down, and obviously the whole menu is in Korean.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, we're all leaning on Nick because he's the Korean at the table, and we have all of our faith in him. And
so let's talk about. So I love. I think we all love sushi.
yes,
Sashimi, raw fish, one of the best things you can eat.
Eat it all day.
That's all. If that's all I had to eat, that was great. Yeah. But be sure it's saltwater fish, first of all, and that it's prepared correctly and sanitary in a sashimi style way. And there's videos I get into sashimi quality fish and all that, and food safety when it comes to raw fish. There's a safe way to eat fish. This place was not it.
Let's reiterate. It was a tent.
Yeah, so we're going like, there's no... Okay, keep in mind, we're on a thin fishing pier, and it's just a tent. So it's like, we're not seeing any kitchen, any prep area. I mean, if you can imagine like a table like this, which is... I used to cook on this table a lot, but if you can just imagine this in a tent, like that to me doesn't speak sanitation to start with. So anyway, and also, this is not saltwater fish we're seeing in the tanks that are in there. And they're, by the way, they're slimy, kind of green, algae-filled tanks. And we're like going, is that what we're going to eat? Like, hopefully they're cooking that. And, so Nick goes off and kind of like talks to the guy. It's like, what is this that we're going to be eating? And like, we think... We're starting to get this idea that the taxi driver and this restaurant have like cahoots together because he just took us there. He's like, this is the best seafood restaurant in Sakcho. And then we start realizing like something's off. So we're just feeling off about the whole thing. And my poor mother, like when I drag these people, okay, so to understand the emotion here, when I drag these people or Dan or Jeremy into places that are like this, it's different because it's like...
we know what we're getting into.
It's hilarious. We take it and make it hilarious, and I don't feel bad for them anymore. Like, because we've done enough of this crap and they keep coming back, so I'm like, I just don't feel bad. Like we might collectively think it's hilarious and whatnot, but we'll laugh it off and keep traveling. But my parents, when I have them along, there's a sense of like, I need to take care of them, and I don't want them to have a bad experience because they're actually traveling for, travel.
For fun and
my parents did not, however. They're like, we're not eating any of this.
Yeah.
We did eat some of it. We didn't eat till we were full, but we're like,
We didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. So anyway, we're like, how do we leave this place? Because my parents are obviously going, we got to go somewhere else, to eat. But they brought out this enormous, they filled the entire plastic table with fish.
Raw fish.
Raw, like, freshwater fish.
And seaweed.
And there was, I don't know what else was on there. It's like, there was some other stuff. But anyway.
Yeah.
So now, keep in mind, this is probably 2 miles from the town out on this fishing pier.
Yeah.
And now taxi is long gone. And
we're stranded.
And we just need to leave. So we're like, okay, we don't want to tell them really that we're not going to eat any of this. So we literally snuck under the tent.
Yeah.
Nick just left the whole money and the whole tip, which was a lot, by the way.
It was a lot.
And I felt so bad for them. But he just left it on the table.
Paid in full, snuck out.
We just snuck out underneath the tent and walked 1.5 miles down the fishing pier in the dark.
Never felt more American than in that moment.
Oh, it was so exotic. I felt so bad for the parents because to drag them down a dark fishing pier with just fish slime everywhere, and it was one of those things. But anyway, those are the kind of things that make travel magic. And those things you might not experience in your own kitchen, but the cultural taste, the feeling of that, and to learn about others in our world is doable straight from the own kitchen. So that's what we want. Also, I just do want to make mention that, we certainly appreciate your viewership. Again, we want everybody to feel comfortable here. If the channel's not for you, there's a lot of other channels. If you're just looking for doom scrolling, this isn't the channel. If you want to spout off on the comments about, that you're the professional on this and it makes you feel better, you can do that too. We'll get entertained by it, but, because there will be haters and we welcome that as well. Make yourself feel good. do what you got to do. Anyway, we certainly appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, like, you don't have to subscribe because you watch this video, but if you get a few videos in and you're like, I might want to sit around and be bored with this, you can subscribe or like it or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, we certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you somewhere around the world on Eating Global.